Kanye West, has agreed in principle to buy conservative social media platform Parler. The app's parent company told us that on Monday. The news comes only days after his Twitter and Instagram accounts were suspended for anti-Semitic comments. Unfettered free speech is the reason Elon Musk says he wants to buy Twitter. Restoring the account of former President Trump, he says, would be one of his first orders of business. And speaking of Trump, he recently started Truth Social, which has become the new digital town square for his followers. All in, it's a potential three-leg stool for the political right to have its own ideologically aligned social media universe. Let's talk about this some more live now with Shadane Urbani. She's the partnerships manager for the Information Futures Lab at Brown University. Shadane, you spend a lot of time researching disinformation. If those three big American household names I just mentioned are controlling a sizable piece of social media, do you expect it will improve the flow of information or make disinformation even worse?
Well, it's a good question. And I would refocus the question a little bit back to what the previous researcher was talking on the segment right before me, which is that it's not necessarily who's commanding public attention at this particular moment in time that is important, but it's about the technology that is allowing misinformation to thrive and how we do or do not regulate that technology. The problem is for social media platforms, like Facebook, this is business and our attention is the commodity. Currently, the way social media platforms work is that they incentivize people to post content that is clickable, shareable, emotional, and divisive. And also the reality is that misinformation is easy to make and it's fast and it's cheap. And so if the question is whether disinformation is going to improve or get worse, well, right now we're not on the right track.
So what's the antidote? I mean, are facts ever enough to drown out a campaign of disinformation on social media? And if not, how do we prevent it from becoming weaponized?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. Unfortunately, the research that we have shows that flooding people with facts doesn't necessarily lead to behavior change. I think people can do two things. One is on the individual level, prepare yourselves for misinformation that we're inevitably going to see on important topics like the upcoming election and public health. But also on a wider level, demand transparency from social media platforms that mediate so much of the public discourse in ways that are visible and invisible.
All right, and in the few seconds we have left, can you give viewers some tips on what they should watch for on social media if they want to be responsible consumers of this information?
Yeah, I would say a few things. I mean, it's hard. One thing is to always try to find the original source of a piece of information, whether that's a statistic you're looking at or a quote or an image, because it's often the way that something has been reshared or remixed on social media that gets it further and further from the truth. Also remembering that context is key, right? A lot of what makes misinformation compelling is that there is a kernel of truth in it. And again, it's the way it's being presented. And then the third thing, again, just prepare yourself. We see a lot of the same kinds of misinformation every election, misinformation about voting rules in your state and how voting works. I mean, it's all very confusing, but if you prepare yourself ahead of time, then you're going to be more critical when it comes your way.
3 actionable tips there. Shadane Urbani, thanks so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate having your insight. We hope to talk to you again soon. Next, what's the harm in misinformation? Sue O'Connell will be back with